if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you work until you die.
See, I didn't know what tax was and that, but schools never taught you about tax, about, you know, how to make money outside of the sort of the 9 to 5 or the sort of like the job, you know, the standard job.
Yeah, would come into school and people line up already. So, you know, during the first, you know, half an hour, most people bought some Lucozade that were quite popular, and especially in the summer.
Okay.
Started to understand, provided value about people, you know, people actually pay for value and
like you said, convenience.
Yeah, but it wasn't really kind of structured. This is how you make a profit. And if I want to get something, this is how I'll create, you know, a pot of cash.
That's like, yeah, man, that's sick. Because that shows as well that you're able to like solve problems like this. Do you know what I mean? Like from a young age. So that's powerful. See, even now my sort of mindset has even changed even more, because you don't necessarily have to work so hard like that.
Actually,
do you know what I mean?
Let's talk about that.
To make so much money. Yo, welcome back to another episode of Powered by Scripture. Come on, it's your boy David, aka Dabs, aka DB Fitness. Come on.
Welcome back to Powered by Scripture. You got your boy Ignatius Iggs back again with another episode where we dissect different topics, chop it up through the lens of Scripture. As you know, here with my boy King David.
Come on,
how you doing, bro?
Ignatius Audacious. Bro, I'm calm, man.
Yeah?
I'm calm, bro.
Yeah,
excited for another episode, innit?
Yeah. So today we're going to be chopping up, the topic is why teach financial literacy, the importance of teaching financial education. So tune in. Obviously, we're going to talk about our experience, things that we've learned and things that we're doing. Really just for the viewers and the listeners to tune in, really.
Have a nice little conversation. Hopefully you go away as well, learning a little 2 pence. So, yeah, bro.
Yeah, so without further ado, we just start off with what is financial literacy?
Good question. So how I would describe financial literacy is almost like the building blocks of someone's financial journey or their financial education. So like, obviously we're both teachers now. So like, for example, before you teach a child how to write like 4 paragraphs, you first have to teach them how to spell simple words, like CVC words, 3-letter words.
The phonics.
Yeah, obviously use their phonics as well to spell these words. Then they learn how to write simple sentences, and then only then do they now start thinking about writing 4 paragraphs. So exactly in the same way.
Building blocks.
I feel like it's exactly the same with your sort of financial literacy. Yeah, you need to understand the foundations and the basics of what that means. But then you can now also, once you understand it, go on to now more advanced things.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
So just to add on to that is basically being able to be using those financial skills, those building blocks to be able to, to make financial decisions that are going to help you positively manage different situations in our everyday lives, really. So yeah, that's financial literacy. So I mean, it's all good saying that, but where did your financial education like start? What would you say it started?
Because I feel like obviously your financial education, your financial journey, I feel like it's kind of different. So like in terms of like me understanding what money means and like how to make money work for you and stuff like that was when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, bro. Yeah, that book from Robert Kiyosaki.
This book.
Yeah, bro, this book.
You got to show it to the cameras.
Come on, got it here. Yeah. It's a little bit worn out. Obviously, it's been through the wars, innit? But beautiful book, bro. Beautiful book. And I feel like that's essentially where my financial education began. Obviously, I've done other things like relating to money in the past. But I didn't have a proper understanding.
Concrete understanding.
And then this developed my understanding so much. But I was reading the book, and I was just like, every now and again, I was like, wow.
Light bulb moments.
Getting so many light bulb moments. I was like, bruv, where's this book being like, do you know what I mean, all my life?
Yeah,
bro.
I think the first time we read that around the same time.
Yeah, it was
uni, innit?
Yeah. I can't remember if it was first year. No. I think it was towards the end, innit?
Towards the end, yeah.
Towards the end. I wish we read this in first year.
Yeah. I wish I read that when I was in high school, really. Yeah. But even in high school, right? Even before I knew about, obviously, how to really be financially literate, I kind of had a knowledge of just making profit. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like when I was in school, when I was in high school, so I was buying Lucozade. I would go I think Morrison's, Poundland,
Farm Foods or something like that.
Farm Foods, and then buy Kit Kats, buy Lucozades. What else? Chewits. Different sweets and drinks and biscuits. And then sell them on for a profit. So I'll have my extra little bag. You know what I'm saying? I'll then, I usually would buy them early in the morning. So get trained in the morning. Fill up my other bag. With sweets, drinks, and all of that. And I was able to sell and make a profit, really, and then do the same thing. Again and again, and then eventually I would then save up that money to buy a little PSP, little gadgets. I even bought a BlackBerry. That was the BlackBerry days.
I remember I had one as well.
BlackBerry Curve and all of that.
I had that one as well. The rich kids had the bold. I wasn't on that level.
The bold, that one was.
Remember the bold?
It was a bit fancy. So that was. I kind of had an idea of, alright, cool, if I need to make extra money, I need to be making profit.
But let me just stop you there though for a second, because obviously I said that my financial journey started when I read this book, later on in uni. But I would, obviously we're going to talk about it more, but that was more like assets, liabilities, like paying yourself first, all of these sort of financial principles I feel like I learned. But a bit similar to you, I feel like I had that sort of understanding of like how to buy something and like make a profit. But yeah, what made you want to like go into high school? Do you know what I mean? And then like have this idea to buy things for cheaper. And then now, do you know what I mean? Yeah, where did that now come from? Because bro, not everyone now is going to high school thinking, all right, cool, I can go to the shop, buy it for cheap here, come to school, sell it and make a profit.
That's a good question.
So where do you feel that sort of came from? Do you think?
I don't know. It just made sense.
Really?
It just made sense.
It was there anyone else that was doing it?
Yeah, there were other people doing it actually. So there were other older kids doing it as well. But to say this is why I started, I don't actually remember,
like
innit? But all I remember is it was making sense. It was making profit. So I was making maybe £50 a week profit, take away all my expenses. Even sometimes when there's like non-uniform day, you're probably making more. So, I would come into school and people would line up already. So, during the first, half an hour, most people bought some Lucozade that were quite popular, especially in the summer.
Okay.
So I was just using that, and obviously I was thinking about other products to use, to sell. I mean, and then eventually I started having other people selling for me, giving them a little.
Oh, you had people selling.
Yes. I had a few guys that were selling for me.
So what, did you have to give them like some money, a little change?
Until they really kind of,
I could do this myself.
I got this myself. So kind of train them to obviously to do their own thing.
That's
really.
sick, man.
Because people would pay for. That's when I start understanding. People pay
if
for
there's
convenience.
a need, and if there's a need for something, people are willing to pay for it. Because like you said,
anyone could do it.
I was gonna say like really and truly as well. Like, but once they've clocked what you were doing, they could now go to the shop and go and buy it. But you've got the Lucozades here, bro. Like right now, do you know what I mean? So what? Would you rather pay £1 now or then walk? Do you know what I mean? Like 10 minutes now and pay 50p. So it's like that must have been like a proper like good experience though, because even like from that sort of
so I would have coins just stashed up under my bed. And the good feeling is like at the end of the week I would then go and exchange that for notes. And I feel like I'm counting £10. I was like, yo, I've got it.
Balling.
But like it was a lot of money back then. But that's I think that's how I kind of started to understand about providing value, about people, people actually pay for value,
Like you said,
Yeah,
convenience.
but it wasn't really kind of structured.
Mm.
So, because I didn't, obviously, we were talking more about, obviously, assets and liabilities, but I didn't really understand. I just knew that, okay, this is how you make a profit. And if I want to get something, this is how I'll create, a pot of cash and being able to, to kind of, to use it to buy
whatever you wanted. No, that's like, yeah, man, that's sick. Because that shows as well that you're able to like solve problems like this. Do you know what I mean? Like from a young age. So that's powerful. I feel like for me, like obviously I've always worked. Like since you were able to be as old enough to work, I was working, bro. Like my first job
what was your first job?
Paper round. I had a paper round when I was like 16.
Yeah.
And then like straight after that,
so
I was working in retail.
Did you get paid cash in hand? What was it?
Bruv, I can't even remember. It was, well, I'm not a fossil, bruv, but yeah, it was like a while back now. I can't even like remember, like nearly like 10 years ago now. Yeah. But all I remember is that, bruv, I would literally grind, do this paper round, and then I had expensive taste. I didn't really have money, bro, when I was growing up and that, but I had expensive taste, bro.
So you liked
things. I liked good things, bro. So I remember it was even my first paycheck when I worked in Matalan.
My
retail job,
clothes.
designer clothes, retail, or when I was doing my paper round. Bro, I went into, there was this shop in Luton called Per Louis. I'm not sure if you heard of it.
No, I don't
Yeah, but it's like, it was in town somewhere, but they do like the fresh designers, bro.
Yeah.
Like, one of those shops, you go in there, but even the store just smells different. But fresh. I went in there. Bruv, I said, get me a little, what was it again? Lyland Scott polo. Yeah. I bought like a light blue one. Copped it. It was fresh. It was like quite expensive. Yeah. But I just felt so good because that was the money. I didn't ask my mum for money or anything like that. Yeah. I had worked hard for that money. Yeah. So then now obviously I decided to go and treat myself. Yeah. Then I thought, that in my head it was like, all right, cool. I can now work as hard as I need to and I'll be able to buy whatever I want to. Do you know what I mean? So I had that from a very like sort of young age, but then obviously even now my sort of mindset has even changed even more because you don't necessarily have to work so hard like that. Actually, do you know what I mean?
Let's talk about that.
To make so much money. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, like, do you get what I mean? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, work hard. Yeah. So let's just talk about obviously that was younger days. So how was our mindset, how was your mindset changed? Mindset of money changed since let's say since uni time, since reading this book?
I would say so. Like the main way that my sort of mindset has changed is like understanding what assets and liabilities are. Yeah.
What is an asset? What is an asset?
So like in the simplest way I'll explain it is an asset is something that puts money into your pocket. Yeah. And then I would say like a liability is something that takes something away from your pocket.
Takes money out.
It takes money out of your pocket. So like I don't know, liabilities could be like.
Just give an example of each one. So
so like liabilities could be like your phone, for example. Just obviously going out, buying lunch like every day. What else? Clothes.
What about a house? Is that house a liability?
Oh, no, let's come back to that one, bro. Because that one, let's come back to that one. But obviously, like in terms of assets, I would say that could be like stocks, property, investments, those kind of things. Things that like obviously your main income as well. Like if you've got a 9 to 5. Yeah. So all of those kind of things are assets, things that bring money into your pocket. Now going back to your example with a house, I would say that it can start off as a liability, depending. It could be a liability or an asset, depending on how you use it. Okay,
so elaborate.
So I would say like basically, for me, I always thought that a house was an asset from young. I always thought, oh, cool, I just want to buy a house. But then now that I'm a lot older and I'm looking in like buying a house, God willing, like in the next few years and stuff, and I hear people talking about being homeowners and saying, oh, the mortgage is expensive and stuff like that. You're essentially taking out money from a bank, like a loan, because most people don't actually have the money to go and buy it cash, putting a deposit down, and then you're paying for this like every single month.
Yeah, so you got money coming
out now, like based on that
definition of
there you go,
the mortgage,
and it's like deposits are like 10% of the house.
Maintenance and all of that,
Maintenance, all of those kind of things.
If you're living there, innit?
If you're living there, that's what. So it's like, essentially now, so much money's coming out of your account. But then let's say there was someone else now, for example, that did something different with a house. Like, for example, let's say, you know, like Homes Under the Hammer, they might buy a house up north for like, I don't know, 60 grand and then refurb it and all of those kind of things, and it goes up in value, and then they now resell it. Obviously, that could now be an asset. Or they could do it the other way, where it's like they're now renting it out. Do you know what I mean? On like a monthly basis, so the rent is more than their mortgage, and then they're making profit. Do you know what I mean? You're the property connoisseur, bro. You know, obviously, like, do you know what I mean? You're very well versed. Do you know what I mean? So, in this sort of capacity.
Yeah, like literally.
But that's what I think anyway, and I feel like it can be asset or liability. Do you know what I mean? Depending on how you use it. Yeah. But you can expand in it.
Yeah, literally, like you just said, like just in summary, you know, like a house could be a liability or could be an asset. If it's an asset, it's actually bringing you money, income. So whatever money is coming out, there is a surplus of money that that's coming in. Let's say, for example, if your rent is 1,000, if you're getting rent, if you buy the house and your rent is £1,000, and then your expenses, so your maintenance, your mortgage, if you have a management there, it's coming up to maybe £600. Then you have a £400 surplus, so it's coming in.
Yeah, so that money is that £400 is now still coming in.
So now that is an asset.
Yeah. You could do that with a lot of things then, innit? Like you could even probably do that with like a car, depending on how you used it.
Exactly.
Let's say you rented it out or something like that, or
as long as you take account of obviously the expenses
the
and stuff.
So
that could be an asset. So and then if it's a liability, if you're living there and you've got a lot of expenses coming out, and then you essentially having to pay, you know, money is just coming out, then it's a liability, really. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then
5 years ago, asked me that question, bro, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that. So I feel like just that's testament to like my growth and how much, like, do you know what I mean? I've been trying to study money. Because like money is like a principle. The more you study it, you understand how it works. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's very important to
let's talk a little bit about the school system. Why do you think the school system doesn't teach about money? I mean, it does to a degree, but it's very...
Nah, let's be honest though, bro, man. Like, bro, when you've got your first paycheck, bro, me anyway, personally, I didn't know what tax was and that. But schools never taught you about tax, about, you know, how to make money outside of the sort of, the 9 to 5 or the sort of like the job, you know, the standard job. But yeah, like, I've researched a lot of this and like basically based on the school system, like that was sort of like after the World War, and then it was essentially like a way to like sort of like now rebuild, you know, like the UK, like the economy, X, Y, and Z. So like essentially the government wanted people to now go to uni, go school. Then go uni,
go primary, go secondary, go uni,
college, and then go uni, and then go and get a job. So that's the
kind of ladder that the
sort of the systems that the government essentially wanted people to, do you know what I mean, to follow. Because then the way that works is that obviously now, do you know what I mean, you're feeding into the government all the time. Do you know what I mean? Most people don't have like student loans that they can now go. They can now go pay for, you know, uni off the back. So they have to go get a loan. Then obviously they have to pay that back to the government. Then obviously when you're working, obviously of course you have to like pay your taxes, X, Y, and Z, and stuff like that. I'm not saying if you're not self-employed you don't have to as well. But yeah, like essentially, I think that schools didn't really want to teach us that much about financial education and financial literacy.
Someone has to work.
And also as well, I don't think they wanted. I don't think they wanted everyone to like. They wanted everyone to be workers essentially. Like not work for themselves or own businesses. They wanted everyone to work for someone else. So I feel like that's like where this whole sort of culture of like working 9 to 5, all of that kind of stuff, I feel like came from, and like the school had that fed through like the school system. But yeah, it's quite mad though when you think about it like that. Do you know what I mean? Like actually, when you're deep.
Yeah, because one thing that the rich dad poor dad, it talks about, essentially, obviously, the rich dad and the poor dad, isn't it? So the rich dad was teaching them to how to be really to be using his to be basically financially aware and not really exchange his time for money. However, it's also important to note that he didn't just start off, having businesses early and all of that. He had to work for a certain period, and he was also said in the book, when you do work, acquire those skills which you'll be able to use. Just a little example of myself. When I was after uni, I did customer service for a company called Ocado, So when I was working, I worked there for like 2 years. I was working a lot on the phones and the emails and all of that. But those, I learned a lot of skills, communication skills, interpersonal skills that I was able to use into my own business, Fertile Properties, when I started my company. So it's important when you do work, you're not just, there's a lot of skills you can learn from different roles and different jobs. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's important for when you do work to acquire skills, then you can actually, when you build your own business or your own brand, to then use those skills. Do you know what I'm saying?
Work for knowledge as opposed to money. As opposed to money. Obviously, money's all well and good, but like work for the knowledge as well. I hear that. That makes a lot of sense.
So what are some important financial skill sets that you need to be equipped with to be financially literate? Obviously, this is a broad topic. This is a little introduction. We're going to do a lot of, I would probably say, series to really delve into more. This is a kind of an overview.
I would say, obviously, we spoke about assets and liabilities. So at least understanding what they are. So like now, you can look at all of the assets if you've got assets in your life, or if you've got liabilities. So I would say that's 100% one thing that I did as well. Like when I was sort of like starting my financial journey, just to vet myself. Okay, is this bringing money in? Is this giving me money?
I think, but before we even get to assets and liability, there's some basic skills that you need to have, like saving.
So like obviously, I was gonna literally get onto that as well. So like a budget as well, like essentially writing down all of your expenses. Like what are your expenses and what is your income? So like I know like people might want to do it on like Excel or like do it on a spreadsheet. I just do it on my phone, bro. Literally on the notes section. Whatever works for you. But I've realised that's so helpful for me because then I can see exactly how much.
So what do you write down then?
So what I do is I write down my income, how much I get paid like every month. And then I write down all of my expenses down to like my subscriptions, like down to like every little expense.
So you got your fixed costs, you got your
rent, all of those kind of things, insurance for my car, all of that. And then I'll take that away from how much I actually make, right? Then that will now give me a figure, and then obviously I call this figure essentially like disposable income. So that basically means that that's money that I can sort of now go and spend and do as I please, so to speak, with that money, because obviously all my expenses are paid for. Now, obviously, the smart thing to do would obviously be to like invest some of that money. Do you know what I mean? Invest some of that money, save some of that money as well. Have like a rainy day fund, and then essentially the rest of that money is enjoyment. Do you know what I mean? If I want like another pair of trainers, go and buy those. Do you know what I mean? Any sort of like spending or anything that I want to treat myself to, birthday parties, those kind of things will come out of that money. But yeah, obviously that's just like a way that I sort of do it. I might now sometimes change the way I do it, tweak it slightly every month, but that's sort of like in terms of like a foundation of how you could like do a simple budget. And obviously people might do it differently, but
why is it important to have a budget?
It's important to just know exactly what it is that you're spending, isn't it? Like to be able to account for your spending, how much is going in, how much is coming out. Because then, what is that financial principle? Live below your means. How are you going to live below your means, right? If you don't know how much money is coming in.
Yeah, you need to have a
and
picture.
how much money you're spending. Like how can you live below your means?
I remember at uni, remember when we used to get, that first student finance? Bro, we were just spending, no idea of, I just thought because that was like, the first like $3,000 coming in or
Yeah.
something like that.
Bro, I thought I was rich, bro. I thought I was rich.
And we were like, yo, let's go buy some Air Forces.
trainers.
And then like you're spending, so it's like a
Yeah.
little graph, like you know how you got stocks. So it's like money comes in, and then before you know it, money is gradually coming out. And then before you know it, right at the end, now you're trying to stretch now with your last. Do you know what I'm saying? I think if I had learned, if I had learned like financial literacy, then I would use that money better. Do you know what I'm saying? But back then we were just.
But again, we're fresh out of high school. They don't all like fresh out of college. Do you know what I mean? And they don't really teach those things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't learn about obviously assets, liabilities, all of these kind of things, or like even a budget. Do you know what I mean? Budget and
then
stuff.
Saving. What I'd say saving is very important. Even before you start, looking into investing and stuff like that, it's a discipline. It's a habit. There's a scripture that says, discipline can be hard, but then the fruits are,
It's unpleasant in the moment.
It's unpleasant in the moment, but it's fruitful in the end. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, we'll put the scripture there, but it's like saving gives you a discipline. So then, if you want to then start investing in stocks or bonds or shares or whatever, you build that discipline in saving. You want to have different pots. Some people say, because if you're disciplined, because we are called to be stewards, and really, to be, everything belongs to God, but He's given us to be the stewards.
Yeah, to be able to steward your money. To be able to steward your money in the correct way. 100%.
So then, what you can then do when you get your money, you can then start splitting into different pots. Do you know what I'm saying? So you put 10% there, 10% what I normally do. But I would say it kind of changes depending on the season.
Of course, yeah. And that's what I was going to say as well. Like, obviously we're saying this, but it's not robotic. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some seasons where you might not be able to save as much, but it's all about the mindset and the mentality.
Yeah.
So you know exactly like where your money should be going towards. Even though you might not always be able to do that every season. You might not be able to save 15% or 20%.
Yeah, or give a certain amount. Maybe if you want to give 10%.
And that's why I don't want to just be too strict with the numbers. Do you get what I mean? Because like these
it's about the mindset
change
at the end of the day. Because it's like it's not really about. It does come what you do month to month, but if you have the bigger picture, you have to have the mindset. That means even if you're going through a period where you're not really sticking to those, because whatever is going on at that time, it's important to have that mindset, that that bigger goal, to be like, all right, cool. What I want to do, I want to create, I want to, acquire assets so that I don't have to be working for money. I think there's a quote that, who said it? That if you, what is the quote again? If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you work until you die.
Hey,
I can't remember who said that, but that's the goal that you're trying to get to. To acquire some assets essentially, and not really exchange your time. It's
quite
for
passive,
money. But however, in the season, you might actually be going through a time where you're saving and you're disciplined.
And you're working as well. You're working for someone else,
and that's fine. And because as long as your mindset has changed, you could have two different people. One's, you're maybe in a job. Yeah,
same job, same company.
And one is saving to get assets, and one is just spending on liabilities.
So one's trying to get at the rat race, the other person is just trying to live paycheck to paycheck and that.
Yeah, what is the rat race anyway? We didn't really touch on that.
But essentially the rat race I would say is sort of living paycheck to paycheck.
Like on a hamster wheel.
And then you're literally just on a hamster wheel. Like you're essentially spending more than you're earning. So then you're obviously having to take credit from X, Y, and Z, and then that now just keeps on going and going and going. And it's like then, God forbid, someone could now be 60 and be like, oh, I've worked for 40 years now. Do you know what I mean? But like nothing to show for it at all. I think that was very similar with that was very similar to Poor Dad. You know the Poor Dad in the book? Because obviously he worked all his life and he had savings, but he didn't really do anything with those savings. Do you know what I mean? They were just there. That's essentially what I would say is almost just like, that's pretty much just staying in the rat race. So like now that I'm aware of that, I know that I have to work because I don't have a silver spoon. No one's just giving me money like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it's like, okay, I'm working for a purpose now.
You're
I'm
working
working now.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To get myself financially to a point where I can now do other things with my time, rather than having to work all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or having to maybe just depend on like one source of income, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of how it's changed my mindset now. Like, and that's why I was so happy that before I got into the sort of working world, I started to have the understanding of how money works, what the rat race is. Do you know what I mean? How to now save money, all of these kind of things. So now I can go into things with having that mindset.
Yeah.
Rather than just be in the wind, if that makes sense. So yeah, man, like, bruv, it's not easy. It's not easy.
But when you have that mindset, and obviously this takes some time. You're gonna have to start reading books, listening to podcasts, attending events. This is how you grow in your financial, in your financial education. It's not a snap of a finger all of a sudden, because you've got some habits.
I get what you're saying 100%. It's not a quick fix. Do you know what I mean? It's a long journey. And I feel like it's very important, just as a way to sort of sum up, is you essentially have to be a faithful steward. With
I like
your
the
money.
word steward.
Faithful steward of your money. Use it wisely. You know about the parable of the talents? Yeah, so I believe that's in Matthew chapter 25 from verse 14 to verse 30. But essentially, long story short, it was 3 servants, 1 master. They all had talents. One had 5 talents, one had 2, and then one only had 1 talent. And then obviously back in that time, talent was gold. So the one that had 5, he doubled it. So he doubled his talents. The one that had 2, he doubled his. And then the one that had 1, he went and hid his talent in the ground. So then obviously,
so he didn't really do anything.
He didn't do anything with what, do you know what I mean, the master had now given him. So now they all go back to the master. The master's like, wow, well done to the servant.
Well done, good and faithful servant.
Faithful servant. To the one that, to the 2 that doubled it, the one that had 5 and the one that had 2.
Yeah, so the one that had 5 now had 10. The one that had 2 now had 4.
Now had 4. And then the one that obviously had 1, the master wasn't very happy with the servant, because he's gone and obviously hid that money now in the ground.
So he actually then ended up taking that 1 that he had, the 1 talent that he had, and gave it to I think the one with the 5, one who had multiplied. So
what I sort of took from that, I was like, okay, right, what can I actually learn from this? And I think it's quite simple, essentially. Like, God will bless you with whatever he blesses you with, and then it's up to you to be a faithful steward of that, to now flip that and now make that money now increase, or whatever it is, make those resources now increase, you know. And if you're faithful with, for example, with £10, you're able to steward that money correctly, God might now bless you with £100, £1,000, you know, £1 million. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, you have to be faithful with that little that God has given you.
Yeah, and just to add to that, don't be lazy, really. Just literally just go and be proactive. Steward what you have, innit? Steward what you have. If you can multiply it, great. It's better to then try and even get a low kind of return even in the bank than to not do anything at all and be fearful.
Exactly, man. And like, I feel like in this generation, there's so many different ways where you can sort of now make your money grow in some sort of way or capacity. But it's up to us now to be faithful, do you know what I mean, stewards, to take risks, you know, calculated risks. And just do you know what I mean? Use our money wisely, bro. Make smart financial decisions. Not hoard everything and that. Do you know what I mean? Put it underneath your bed and that, bro. Lock it in a safe and just leave it there. How's that going to bless anyone?
It's not going to, especially because of inflation.
The
value of goods and services is always going to increase. So the purchasing power now is now less.
Bro, we can literally talk about this for time.
So I mean, this is a little overview. I mean, we're going to start diving deeper into all of these other topics. Because this is just to give you a little taste. There's a lot. We're going to talk more about property. We're going to talk more about investing, saving, budgets, you know,
some of our buying and selling stuff.
yeah,
Remember
our
when we were doing
experience
some buying and selling,
buying
like
and selling, yeah.
a few products that we've bought, we've flipped, we've made a bit more money on.
Yeah,
Shares,
you know,
ISAs.
yes, so,
There's
so
loads
much.
of things, but
So much
yeah,
things,
man.
yeah.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
Make sure you tune into that next episode as well.
Make
Part
sure.
2 is coming soon. But thank you for listening to this episode, and join us next time on Powered by Scripture. Thank you guys for listening. God bless.
God bless.